Hey everybody, Andrew here from Pacific Coast Auto, taking a look at the results of last week's auction picks. Up first was the banged up 180SX drift car. This one went for a little bit less than Derek had thought, selling for just $24.50. I assume whoever's buying this is just going to keep drifting it, and if so, that's a good deal. The classic Honda K step wagon also sold for well under Derek's guess. Someone picked this one up for $3,300. The Honda Vigor was unsold with no bids. We're going to be seeing a few more like that this week. The Toyota Celica GT4 was also unsold, but this one got bid up to $35.20, still not enough. The Mitsubishi FTO was also unsold with no bids. I guess just even $350 would have been too much for this. The Subaru Vivio RXR did sell. Somebody picked this one up for just $770. The Mitsubishi Colt Rally Art version R was also unsold. This one did get some bids and got all the way up to $29.10, but that still wasn't enough to take it home. The Suzuki Servo was also unsold. This one got bid up to $280, and the seller probably should have taken that. The Nissan Silvia S15 was unsold and somehow had no bids. Not quite sure how that happens. And finally, the Honda Today that Derek thought might go for $100 got no bids. That's going to do it for last week's picks. Now here's Derek with this week's.
Hey guys, guess who it is? It's me, it's Derek, and we're going to do this super quickly this week because I don't have a lot of time. Monday, Tuesday, and today, Wednesday, my little boys are sick and at home, and so I've lost a lot of work time, and so I need to cut out some time here and there. Now usually these videos are somewhere in the range of about 30 minutes to, on the high end, 40 minutes. This one's going to be a little bit shorter because we got 6 of your picks this week instead of the regular 10 or 12. Sometimes we do that many. And so I narrowed it down to only 1 pick per person. And I'm starting, let me just back up a bit. These picks are sent in to our Facebook page, so if you want to participate in this, feel free to. You can check all of the cars at Japanese auction in our auction system like this, auction.pacificcoastjdm.com. You can log in as a guest and you can see all the cars, and you can see what cars sell for and all of that cool stuff. But if you do want to send them in, what we're going to allow you to do is to send in as many as you want, but the new rule going forward is going to be only 1 pick per person. And so no more hat tricks for everybody. Sorry everyone who sends in a bazillion of them, but only pick those, or we'll pick just one, whichever one that we think is the best or kind of fits in with the rest of the ones that we picked the best. And so we're going to jump into this one here, our first one this week from Bill Courtney. He has been around since forever. I feel like I've known him for like 10 years. Every week he sends in some good picks. And so we got this first one. He gets the thumbnail this week. It's LAA Kansai. It is mincy little pictures, very unfortunate for that. But this is a Nissan EScargot. It's a car that a lot of people don't know about. They used to be a lot more popular than they are now. They're kind of an old car now. 1990 makes them 28 years old now. So, yeah. But they are a really unique looking vehicle, like nothing else out there, and particularly good for advertising. Put on your logos on the side, and then everyone's going to look at you and think that you're much cooler than they are, or much cooler than your competition. And so I recommend everybody go and buy one of these. You used to be able to pick them up for really cheap, like under $1,000 for even really good ones, but nowadays they're older. Older means fewer of them on the market, and now that they're US legal, and the US has almost none of these now, and people want them, and people are willing to pay more for them. And so the days of cheap EScargots are gone, but the usefulness of them is still there. And so let's take a look at the condition of this one. It's a 1990 EScargot, and it's written kind of funny. It's like this, S, and then cargo, because it's a cargo vehicle. So play on words, pretty clever there, Nissan. And comes with a 1.5 liter engine. This one is an auction grade R with an interior C. If you don't know these by now, check out our website. There's a lot of information on there, pacificcoastjdm.com/auction sheet, and it tells you everything you need to know about this. 65,032 kilometers. I think they only come with automatic transmissions. This one comes with owner's manual. Canvas top, and so you can see that that opens. Now, something about the canvas top vehicles, if it's a 25-year-old canvas top and it hasn't ever been replaced, then there's a good chance that this top has shrunk and lets water in. And so keep that in mind if you're going to be bidding. This is a one-owner vehicle, right front door. It doesn't open. Well, that's funny because that's the driver's door. But the good thing is they're giant doors, and so if you do need to get in from the passenger side, it's probably not that difficult. And look at this. There's nothing here, so you can just shimmy your butt across that seat into the driver's seat. And, yes, if you do buy this from us, then we can fix that door for you before we export it, if you really want it done. Okay, so body of it. So when I'm searching for vehicles, which I did yesterday because we're buying a couple more stock vehicles this week, bid on 2 today and lost them both by like 1,000 yen. I'm so sad about that. Anyways, first thing I do is I pick out the cars that I really like, and then I go over each one individually, kind of like we have here, and look at them. And the very first thing that I look at is the sheet here, because this is the most important, and I think it's the one thing that people skip the most. They take a look at the picture of the car and they think, that's cool, I'm going to send in a translation request, and then I get it and I see, oh, C2 on the roof. There's giant corrosion on the roof that is probably difficult to fix, and I translate the sheet for them, depending on the customer. Some customers I know that they're not looking for a C2, or if they're a new customer, then I'll send them a quick email and say, do you realize that there's big corrosion on the roof? Maybe you want to take a look at other cars. But it is one of the most overlooked sections of the car, and the most important to really understand. So we have C2 on the roof here, U3 dent in the back, A3. So the body looks kind of weak, U3 over here. But the coolness can shine through on the weak body, and so it still may be worth it to grab this one, especially since they're really hard to find. 25 years is a long time, 28 years for dents and stuff to happen. Now, it's been in an accident. The accident damage is right rear inner panel has some repair marks on it. Right rear side member has deformation. Rear floor has deformation. And when I say deformation, what that means is it's been damaged from an accident and has been bent back into the appropriate position that it's supposed to be in. But once you bend metal, it can't be the exact same shape as it was before because the metal stretches and you're not recasting that metal. End panel dented and one part replaced, and left and right front inner panel dented. Engine room has rust in it, and the engine makes some strange noises, and so it's not really one that I would recommend per se, but because of the uniqueness of it, because of the rarity of them, you may be able to get a good deal. With this much damage on the car, you're going to get it for cheaper than you would a good condition one. And to the right buyer, they would be able to improve the car enough to make a profit off of it. And so there is that. If it's a bad condition common car, I would say forget about it. If it's a bad condition cool car like this one is, then maybe worth it. Maybe. Okay, so price on this one, I'll say probably 120,000 yen. I would say a really good one could get up to about 800,000 or so of this car. Okay, on to the next one from Aaron Coy. I'm not sure if you've sent in one before, Aaron, so if this is your first one, then welcome. And if it's not your first one, then I'll take imaginary Alzheimer's pills, because these days I can't seem to remember anything. Okay, so we have a Nissan Juke. This is for sure the first time that we've sent a Nissan, or we've had a Nissan Juke on this video, because it's kind of a newer car, and most of the people playing this game like to see what older, classic, or rare cars that there are. But this one is cool. Look at this, 22-inch wheels on a Nissan Juke. Pretty insane. You know, old cars from the 70s, you can't put a 22-inch wheel on there very easily, but nowadays wheel wells are bigger than they've ever been before, and so 22 can, I guess, just barely fit onto a Juke. Style-wise, yeah, strange. It has red parts on here, and the grille, and then the hood has had this kind of new thing that we're seeing. What they do is they take an angle grinder to the hood, and then they angle grind swirls and ripple marks and cool things into the metal, and then they put on like a translucent coat of paint so that you can still see the shaved metal, and then they put on a clear coat. And I guess I started seeing this about 10 years ago, but it got more popular around 5 or 6 years ago, and you still see it nowadays. I'm not really sure how much it costs to get that done, but or the style of it. To me, I don't think that I would like it, but you know, I'm not everybody, and so fair enough that they like their cars modified in different ways. The interior, Again, for me, it hurts my eyes so much that they start to bleed, and so I'm going to go get a tissue and wipe my eyes and then put this away. And we'll look at the auction sheet. So 2011 1600, it's a 16 GT4, so that would be a four-wheel drive with automatic transmission here. 37,101 kilometers, auction grade 4, interior C. Comes with Navi, reverse monitor, IntelliKey. I think it means that you don't have to put the key into the ignition, which to me is a little bit sad. I love putting the key in the ignition and turning the ignition, and if I don't do that in a car, it breaks something in my mind, and I no longer enjoy driving that car as much, I think. Adjustable suspension on it, so it's not on air suspension. When you see a car like this, sometimes they are on air suspension here in Japan, and so do watch out for that. Aftermarket wheels and tires. No, original wheels and tires are in the car, and so there's other parts that are in the car, original parts of the car. The body looks to be pretty much perfect condition. Aftermarket exhaust. What is this? Hood has been color changed. Interior has some various modifications to make your eyes bleed. Interior has some parts missing. It says interior one part missing, but this it can be one or two or three parts. So usually when I translate this, I'll say interior parts missing in case there is more than one part missing. Exterior has stickers on it, and the battery needs to be replaced. As for cost, well, it starts at 480, which is about what I was going to guess for this one. So maybe I'll guess 550, but I don't really know the prices of these Jukes. They are too new, and this one is absolutely too cool for me. Next one, Brandon Decker, which is Andrew's brother, but not really. Andrew's not here, so I can say that. And he sent in an MRS S edition. He also sent in another car that was pretty cool, but I decided to pick this one. The MRS is kind of like a car that a lot of people don't love, because the first MR2, there was a good amount of love. The second MR2, there was an even bigger amount of love, but now, so many years afterwards, the first generation kind of gets all of the beans, and then the second gen people still love, but it's, in my opinion, not as loved as it should be. And then the third generation is the one that a lot of people don't like. They don't like the fact that it went into, well, it changed names, so I guess it's not technically the same, but it kind of is. But this is the third generation MR2. They call it the MRS, I guess S for Spider maybe. But it is a mid-engine, and this one is a full convertible, whereas the other ones were just like removable top cars, Targa, that sort of thing, T-bar roofs. Roofs. Excuse me. But yeah, the low horsepower, that kind of killed it for everyone. And the janky styling, I guess, also kind of killed this one. So a lot of people, well, let me rephrase that. Not a lot of people love it, but some people love the car. They think that it's cool. I think that the car is probably better than the reputation that it has. But then again, a lot of people buy cars to either impress or to say something about themselves, to impress other people or something like that. If you get a car like this, you're not going to get any of those points. And so if you do want to tell people that you're weird and you like cars that other people don't like, I guess you could go with something like this. I think this car is much more appreciated here in Japan than it is outside of Japan, because in Japan, fast cars just don't work very well here because roads are much tighter and the fun roads are much, much, much tighter, and you don't get to just floor it and just go super fast on most roads here in Japan. Even the highways have a maximum speed limit of 80 kilometers an hour, which is insanely low for most compared to most countries. And so a car that handles better is much more appreciated than one that can go outright faster. And then I've heard that this is one of the best handling cars that's out there, so there is that. I haven't had a chance to drive one myself. I'd love to try it, but until then I just have to go off of my internet's knowledge. Okay, details of this one. 1999 MRS S edition. I'm not sure what the S edition means. It's an 1800cc, but sadly it is not a 2ZZ engine, it's a 1ZZ engine, which means that you get the 140 horsepower instead of the Celica's 180 or 190 horsepower, depending on the market. Auction grade 4, interior B, exterior B. color is original red, 82, 590 kilometers, 5-speed manual, tow collection box, keyless entry, front side and rear aero parts on it. No rips on the soft top. What is this? Helical LSD. That's interesting. Especially interesting since like the NSX never got an LSD, even though it's a way faster, higher performing car. Aftermarket HID here it says, and then condition. Underside has been painted, steering wheel wear and ripped. Soft top has a stain, headlights cloudy, and exterior paint fade, and one part is peeling. Okay, so the good thing about these cars is they sell for a cheap amount. It might be fun for a track day car if you typically do autocross or like a smaller track. For something like a Fuji Speedway or even a Tsukuba, it's probably, you're going to be running at 9,000 RPM and people are going to be passing you like crazy. Price, I'm going to say that seems too high. 320,000 yen. And this is one of those cars that we don't export that often because it's not really, it kind of has more value in Japan than it does in outside markets. And we never got these in Canada, by the way. They were only available in the States. It's one of the few cars that was only in the States and not in Canada. And it's kind of funny because there are a bunch of cars that were only in Canada that were not in the States. So, on to the next one. Thank you, Brandon Decker. Next one from Zay Wang, returning champion. This, I think they sold these in the US actually. Not 100% sure on it. So this is an Isuzu Vehicross, and it is one strange vehicle. It's kind of styled like someone was like, let's make a futuristic vehicle. I know all the other Isuzu cars are really like 1970s, 1980s looking cars, even if they were made in the 2000s. And so let's break the mold and let's make a super futuristic styled car. And then the person who styled this, he just didn't have good taste for what looks good in a car, I'm guessing. I think it's really weird, the looks of it, the headlights, the cladding on it, the kind of squished marshmallow look to it. It's an insanely ugly car. And look at this. The rear tire, it kind of is there, kind of is not. Kind of like a marshmallow car, like a rear mount tire is on there, and it's a soft car, and you just gave it a gentle push, and it just kind of pushed all of the window up here. Really strange, but I think it qualifies as a car that is ugly enough that it starts to be cool. I think this car gets that. I don't think that the Aztec gets that, though. The Aztec is still too ugly for me, despite the cool rear tent in the back. 177,605 kilometers is really funny to me because if I owned this car, I wouldn't drive that much because I wouldn't want people to see me in it. It comes with a 3.2 liter gasoline engine, 4-wheel drive, auction grade 3.5, interior C. What do we got here? Reverse camera, part-time 4-wheel drive, original 16-inch wheels on there. Condition looks not bad except for the paint fade. So we have paint fade here, big scratches on the front bumper, and paint fade here. Steering wheel wear. Interior is yellowed. Probably means it's been smoked in a lot. Or maybe the interior is made out of Super Nintendo plastic that has all turned yellow because of age. And that's kind of what it looks like, actually. Super Nintendo car. Should put like a logo on the side for the Super Famicom. Okay, underside of the body is surface rust, body scratched and dent, and aftermarket suspension on it. It's a car that has a really small market because most people don't want ugly cars, but there's nothing against people who like ugly cars as long as you're okay with it. And so go ahead and buy this if you're one of those people, and then you can probably get it for a pretty good price. Mileage is high, it's only an automatic, and so that's going to keep the price down, and the faded paint on it as well. I've never really seen the look of these. Nobody's sent me an email and said, hey Derek, I want the ugliest car that you can find in Japan. And I'm not talking about anything cool and ultra Japanese. I just want a marshmallow squished car with a weird rear mount spare tire. And so unfortunately that doesn't happen, so I don't know the prices of them. But I'm going to say that nobody's going to spend over 100,000 yen on this one. So that'll be my pick for the price. On to the next one. Raymond, you sent in this one. Raymond also sent in a few that we picked, and they were good, but then I picked this one instead of the other one. This is a Toyota quick delivery van, and you don't see these very often on the road here, and every time that I do see them, they're owned by Snap-on Tools, and they have a big Snap-on logo on the side. And then like delivery, like what's the US version of that? In Japan, they have a delivery service called Black Cat or Kuro Neko, and so they load these up with boxes and go around delivering them. And so it's basically just industrial use. They tend to sell for a lot of money, in my opinion, but they're really different from most vehicles because they have a lot of space for the footprint. And if that's what you need, then it's a small expense to pay for a more efficient business if you're going to use it for business. Otherwise, you can use this as a really sweet camping car if you wanted to convert it, but it would be small. It would have to qualify for that trend of tiny houses. You can make a little peaked roof on the top. That would be very cool. Okay, 1996 quick delivery van. This is a 2800cc diesel engine. That's a 3L engine, same as the Top Gear Can't Kill a Hilux vehicle. Luxury grade 3, interior C, exterior C, unknown mileage, but the meters or the gauge shows 138,559. Tachometer doesn't work. Wait, tachograph. Yes. Tachometer doesn't work on it, and so probably the mileage is not known because of that, because if they're linked together, then yeah. Paint peeling, some rust over here, paint cracks up here. The bed has various scratches and dents on the car. Color changed car. It wasn't originally red, which is weird because it says here it's original red, color changed. Company sign is on the car. Kind of weird company sign there, but it's on there. Various modifications to the interior, which is a thing on these. Some of the cars have extra pictures, but not an awful lot of them do. And if you were to, if you wanted to buy something like this, you could ask us, hey, can you see if there are extra pictures, and we'll check it out for you. We don't know what kind of modifications were done to the interior, but it's pretty common for them to specialize the interior of something like this to suit the work that it's going to do. Okay, front cross member is dented, and yeah, because they sell for a lot, I'm going to say that this one will probably, what do we got, column shift 5-speed? I don't like column, it's not comfortable for me. An unknown mileage, yeah, it's not going to sell for an awful lot. I would say probably 380,000 yen. And our very last one here, and it is my favorite one, but it didn't get the thumbnail because it just doesn't stand out as much. It's not as clickbaity. If that actually works for us, I don't know. It's sent in by Zachary Konoba. Now, please don't bid on this car because I want to win it for myself. Because it is one of the coolest cars that I've seen come up for auction. It totally suits my desires for something weird and quirky. And I love how the seller put in a whole bunch of tires into the back because the car looks even better with 5 tires in the back. You got to wonder, why would you need 5 tires in the back of the car? Because a set is 4, but I guess it, yeah, 4 and a spare. Okay, so this is a Suzuki Jimny, also known as the Samurai outside of Japan. This one is, let's see. This one's the K-Car version, and so it has the 660cc turbo engine. They typically have a hood scoop on them as stock, but this whole front end and rear end has been modified to look like, kind of like an old 50s pickup truck from America, but very much stranger than that, big time. And so it looks like we have an aftermarket bumper on here. This front clip piece looks like one piece, and then this one here is the hood. Very cool how it's rounded like that. The typical Jimny is very, very boxy, and so I think it's a cool look to mix the boxiness with the roundness. Aftermarket headlights, extra fog lights. We have a winch on here. Those look like the standard mirrors, a light over here, some sort of a roof rack bar or something. I don't know why you would want that. Don't really understand. Like a rack bar is commonly used in a pickup truck so that you can lay boards between the back of the trunk up to the bar up here and just lay them on the bar, and then they'll have hooks here, and then you can tie them down. Or like stoppers so they don't slide off the side, and then you just tie it to the ends. I don't think anything can be loaded in this like that because there's not very much room in the back of the trunk. It looks like it's only about 1.5 feet or 2 feet. Kind of the same size as the BB back, and so not really useful as an actual back end, but it still has to fit into K-car size restrictions, and that's probably why it's a tiny little bed like that. But tiny bed is awesome, I think. I think it says hot dog, but it might say hot dog, and maybe we just can't see the top of the O. Very, very cool. And I don't know how much it's going to go for. I don't really have that much money to put into a car like this. I do wish it goes for a nice cheap price and I get to have it and I get to see it and give it a big hug and drive it around. Interior wise, looks pretty much Jimny like. They have an aftermarket gauge panel here, aftermarket wooden steering wheel and a monitor put on, and then a trim kit. This is not stock. And camouflage floor mat in case you you don't want someone to come steal your floor mat, so like you're out in the wilderness and you can like throw it into the bushes and nobody's going to find your floor mat. I can't really think of any other reason why you would need that to be camouflage. And yeah, very cool overall. Let's take a look at the condition. Looks pretty rough. This is a dilemma. I want the car so bad, but the car is really rough. And I don't want to buy a rough car, but it may be worth it. Okay, so let's go over this. 1993 650cc. Just looking at the time right now. I said this was going to be a quick one, but I went overboard. Okay, R grade, exterior D, interior D, 139, 740 kilometers. No sales points. Pickup 4 number. Oh, this is important. A 4 number is a 400 series registration in Japan. It's registered as a cargo vehicle. If you bought this for U.S. import, then you would have to pay 25% tax on it. The reason why they do a 4 number or a cargo vehicle registration here in Japan is to cut down on the costs of registering it, which is really funny because it's a K vehicle that already has cheap registration, so you're not really saving that much. But do keep in mind that you're going to have to pay extra for importing this one. So you better get it for cheap if you want to sell it in the U.S. Okay. We have bad corrosion here, probably where the windshield touches. It's C3 with paint peeling. We have C2 at the roof, paint uneven and peeling on the roof. Some rust over here with paint peeling, and some rust over here. And what is this? The cover pieces coming off. I don't know what that means. Maybe this hood piece can't latch properly in the front. And then rear frame has been hit. It's dented. Core support and front inner panel bent, cut, and one part is missing. Oh, it sounds lovely. It sounds really fun in an accident. That I can't read what this one says. Something about the tires. Maybe I think it means that the tires are sticking out past the fender, but I don't know for certain. Interior has various modifications to it. Seat is ripped. Headliner has been taken out. Various scratches, paint wave, uneven paint, and various paint peeling. Carpet has been removed. Power steering doesn't work. Various aftermarket parts on it. Engine room has rust and corrosion in it. Roof, inner panel, floor have been cut and modified. That may be to fit this everything, the strangeness of the car. Tsugihagi. I don't know what a tsugihagi is. Naoko, what's a tsugihagi?
Tsugihagi, like patchwork.
Patchwork?
Yeah.
Okay, so the car has patchwork modifications. That's a weird one. I've never read that before. Front cross member has been cut and a part has been removed. Probably again to fit this front end. Underside and frame surface rust and corrosion and paint peeling. And the bed has been modified, has cracks, paint peeling in various areas, and aftermarket wheels scratched and come out past the fenders. And so this other one here must mean something else. I'm going to ask the magician, Naoko. Hey, Naoko, quickly, come over here. Quickly. We're running video right now. Can you read this?
Not standard tires.
Okay,
Yeah.
so the tire size is not standard. And you can see that just by looking at the picture. Okay, so extremely rough condition. I'm not going to buy this unless I can get it. I think it's worth, for me, it's worth $500 to buy. I think it's going to sell for more than that. There's a good chance that something like this is going to catch someone's attention like it did mine, and then somebody is going to say, well, I can take care of all of that stuff. Yeah, I'll put a bid on it for too much, and then they'll end up buying it for more than it's worth. I think we're going to see this one go for about 220,000 yen, but I don't think it's worth that much. And that's going to be the end of it. I'm very sad. I'm now disappointed. I'm going to have a bad day because of this truck. But, yes, somebody cheer me up in the comments if you made it this far into the video. That's going to be it until next week. So I'll see you again next Wednesday, Japan time, which is Tuesday, most people's time. Hope you enjoyed this one, and I'll talk to you later.